on any occasion. Vehement.
Thank you, Mark.
That's the ones that are married.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. The next position that we have is the role of timer, and I believe this is being handled by Cheryl. Can you hear us, Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, I'm the timer and I time the speeches. I guess it's nothing too glamorous, huh? Is that correct?
Well, Cheryl, I guess it's a little bit more difficult since you're not actually in person with us, but we actually have flashcards that we use. So, Lawrence, if I can get you to hold those up for me.
Oh, yeah, I don't have
So the green card represents, depending on the speech, it's usually 5 minutes. The amber card is a 6 minute, and the red card is a 7 minute. Those same colors also go with the table topics. So the first table topics is green, which is red. Which is 1 minute, which is the green card. 1:30, which is the amber, and 2 minutes for the red. And those also apply to the evaluations, but we won't go through that. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cheryl. Next we have. Okay. All right. Next we have the role of the general evaluator, which is Justin. Justin, if you want to give us a brief description of your role tonight.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the general evaluator performs a general evaluation of the meeting, evaluates parts of the meeting that aren't addressed by the other evaluators, runs the evaluation portion of the meeting, and introduces the other evaluators.
Okay. Thank you, Justin. Next we have the role or roles of the speech evaluator. So we have Maurice is the second speech evaluator for Heather, and that's based off her competent communication manual speech number 5. Also, we have Cody doing the same number of speech. So either Maurice or are you Steven?
No, he's not here.
All right, okay. All right, well, we have an empty, yeah, okay, that'd be fine. Thanks so much. Okay, if either one of you guys can give a description of the speech evaluation.
Okay, the speech evaluator basically evaluates the speech. The purpose of evaluation is not to tear somebody apart, but to help them to understand their both their good points and their areas of improvement in whatever particular scenario that speech is supposed to be in. So this is the body speaks. Both of these speeches are body speaks. So it's the 5th. So everything that's come before that plus body language will be covered in this speech. And I need to get your book, by the way.
Okay. All right, thank you, Lawrence. And the final role for this evening is, I think, everybody's favorite, which is the role of the table topics master. So let's see, Thomas? Yeah, Thomas.
The tabletop master, when we get to the table topics time, I will be asking for volunteers or making assignments for answering questions where you'll have very little time to prepare as well as very little time to have to fill in answering the said question.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas. All right. Well, let's continue the progress here. So if we can get our first speaker, which is Cody. This is Cody's 5th speech, and the title of his speech is Financial Game Plan.
So I want to set the audience for the speech. The target audience is new grads, just starting out in their first career. So just think back to that point in life. But some information can be useful to you now. So you just finished college, you lined up your dream job, you think everything is just going to magically work from that point forward. Start working, a month goes by, and you soon realize that your money is not going as far as you thought it was going to. You bought a new TV, maybe you went out to eat a lot and you're in the red already. You're like, man, what's going on? Well, this happens to most people. Everyone goes through some financial struggle in the beginning of their new career and their life out on their own. But you can either correct your way of working, or you might suffer a lifelong torment of debt. So I want to go over 5 financial guidelines to help people avoid big mistakes when they start out. So the first guideline I want to talk about is more mental than anything. It's the theory of outdoing your parents, that you have to have the house your parents had, have the car, and doing that puts you in a big financial struggle right out of the gate. You get a big house, you have a mortgage, you get a fancy car, and you have an expensive car payment. And it's really hard to save when you have all these expenses right from the beginning. So my advice for that situation is to live like you've always lived. Drive your junky car as long as possible. Keep your roommates if you can. You don't go buy a brand new house or rent a fancy, expensive apartment. You just live frugally at the beginning of your career, because you're in this point where you don't have a lot of stuff yet, and you have the ability to save money. So the key for the first guideline is to not extend your financial well-being by acquiring a lot of stuff that eats up your monthly income. The next guideline is to monitor.
We're getting some feedback from somebody over there.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. So the next guideline is to monitor your spending and automate your savings. So you want to create some sort of budget, whether that's using a program like mint.com, an Excel sheet, or handwritten budget. You just want to be able to see what's coming in, what's going out. It's very important. I think back to when I thought I had a good control on everything, and I thought that I was spending relatively well, but when you write it down, you see your black holes and you see what really eats up most of your money. So it's very important to keep track of everything, because when you keep track of money, you tend to be in control, and when you don't, the money controls you. So once you determine your baseline, you have the ability to see about how much you can save, and this is where the automation comes in. You want to set up a system, maybe using your online checking, to automatically deposit money that you have extra at the end of the month into a savings account. So this is beneficial because you don't see it, and you're not tempted to go and rob your checking account because the money is magically being set aside into another account. I like to use an online bank called Ally. You can set up multiple bank accounts, and you can kind of get a little fancy by allocating maybe a vacation account, long-term savings, education savings, things like that. The next guideline is investing basics. So this is your 401k your company provides, or maybe your individual IRA plan. So a lot of you have the ability to maybe have your company match funds, or you get some kind of benefit that's given to you by your company for a 401k plan. I recommend taking advantage of that. Any extra money that your company wants to give you is good. So if you can max the percentage gain from your company, take advantage of it. But one thing to look at, and a lot of people don't do this, they just set it up and pick the dream retirement date and just forget about it. But a lot of these target date plans have a lot of fees in them. So also mutual funds. So mutual funds tend to not beat the market, and they're charging you 2% more fees than a basic index fund. So I recommend, if you have a Vanguard index fund, to move your money to that, because they charge a lot less fees. And fees compounded over time can equal hundreds of thousands of dollars. So something you might want to check. But once you get that set and that you have a good balance in your portfolio, you can pretty much just leave it alone and let it acquire over time, and maybe check it annually. So this is a good start for investing basics. It doesn't have to be that complicated. So you might want to get a little more advanced. So the next guideline and tip is advanced investing through acquiring passive income through real estate. So if you're happy with the returns you're getting from 401k, then you can kind of ignore this. But if you want to accelerate your path to retirement, maybe you retire early or have more when you retire, I really suggest that you look into real estate investing. Now, I know a lot of you've seen Flip or Flop on HGTV, and you think you could go into Midtown, buy something, and turn $50,000 in profit. You might be able to. I'm not saying you can't, but I strongly recommend some education before attempting something like that. And the best way to start is getting online with like resources such as Bigger Pockets or attending a real estate meetup. And you can find some very talented guys that are doing well in the business. And if you have some money set aside, you can say, hey, I want to put up all the money and I want to do all the work, but I just want you to kind of look over my shoulder and I'll give you this % of what I make. And a lot of times these guys will, take the time to help you because they see that you're putting the risk down, and they'll gladly, pick up some profit without doing much of the work. And this gives you a sense of confidence and allows a professional to help you out and guide you on your first real estate transaction. Or you could meet somebody and they're always looking for capital, so you can passively invest in somebody's deal. And this enables you to make 10-15% returns, which does a little bit better than the stock market. And the more you do this, the more passive income you can build up. You can buy into equity deals where they're paying you quarterly. So it's something to look into. And there's other ways to boost your passive income, such as the stock market and commodities trading, things like that. So the last tip is engineering your lifestyle. I like to ask the question, what kind of life do you want to live? So this is something I ask myself, periodically, maybe once a year, to kind of test where I'm at in my life. And a lot of people will say, well, I want a happy, successful life, and I want to be prosperous, and I want everything to be, rosy. But these things mean different things for different people. So the definition of successful and happy can take on different forms. For me, success and happiness is the ability to do something I'm passionate about and not being enslaved to paying bills and tied down to things that eventually I probably won't really care about, in the future. So I'm working towards financial freedom. So I'm trying to maximize my savings and invest my money so that I can pay for the lifestyle I want and kind of be free to, pick up things that maybe I'm interested in down the road. So this is just another tip that kind of will set your game plan forward to determine how much you need to save and how much you need to invest. So I hope that helps some of you guys out that maybe rethink, your investment strategy. So thank you.
Cody. Very good speech by Cody. Actually, a lot of great advice that if there are any recent college grads in here tonight, they could go a long way. I had someone like Cody speak to me when I graduated college, or that kind of gave me similar advice. So you're right on point, Cody. Okay, so our next speaker is going to be Heather. This is also her 5th speech from the Competent Communications Manual, and the title of her speech is Embodied Cognition.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So let's talk about body language. I want to talk about embodied cognition. This is an idea that the way you hold yourself, that your body language alters your mind, okay? So let me use an example. Let's say that you're going to an interview and you want to appear confident. You want to appear to be the person that's right for the job. You want to get hired. So some things you can do to actually psychologically tell your mind that, hey, I am confident, is do power poses like this for a couple of minutes, or like this. It could be like in the parking lot, or in the bathroom right before your interview. As a matter of fact, today I had an interview earlier, and before my interview, I did power poses. And before I came here, they called me and told me that I got the job. So I don't know how much of that is related to the power poses, but every little bit helps. People don't really think about how they can change the way that they think, or how they can be more confident with their body, or how maybe their stance is reinforcing something that they think, or that they think about themselves. Like I just said with the interview, maybe me practicing those power poses before I went in sort of showed the people that were interviewing me that I was confident. It affected how other people saw me. But moving on to my second point, which I think is even more important, is that it affects how you see yourself. This is something that I have implemented very recently, and I've really seen that it's made a big difference. So I try to keep my chin up a little bit. I think I've said this before, but this is kind of level for me, so I keep it slightly up. And I think that I really believe that enforces in me an idea that I'm confident. And it helps me to do better in everything. It's helped me in my mindset and just the way I see things. And an example would be like, I'm at school and I'm walking around, or I'm walking to class, and before, whenever I would walk past somebody, it would be too easy. I would always want to just look down or look at my phone, revert back, kind of back off. For whatever reason, it just wasn't easy to make eye contact. It wasn't easy to just say hello, or how are you, or to just give a smile. But now I've been keeping my head up, and I notice it in other people too, that they look down, and I don't know what that may say about them, but to me it doesn't really say that they're confident. It kind of shows that maybe they have an issue that they're kind of reverting back into. And I just don't think that doing something like that in excess, or not being able to look somebody in the eye, is a really healthy thing. That it doesn't really reflect that you are comfortable, that you have pride in yourself and you're confident. Thirdly, I would say that embodied cognition, that your body language can help to avoid misunderstandings. I'm a perfect example of this because, like, about a year ago, and ever since before then, people would always come up to me and ask me, they would say, "Why do you look so sad? Why do you look angry?" And I'm always thinking to myself, why do people always ask me this? Like, what am I doing? Maybe it's that I didn't realize that I was enforcing myself to feel a little deflated instead of elevated, instead of happier, because maybe I had these postures, these stances that kind of put me back into this sort of backed off kind of state, and I didn't really realize it. And I would just tell them, that's just my face. and it was just frustrating that people would say that. But ever since I've started doing things like just keeping my chin up, like maybe looking at a limb on a branch ahead of me in the distance to help me keep my chin up, nobody has been asking me why I look sad, why I look angry. In fact, I think it shows that it's so much easier for me to be happy, and I have been much happier, and to just relax and enjoy everything that's going around me, not be frustrated or stressed out because I look angry or sad and I'm really not. So, in conclusion, embodied cognition is, I think, a great tool that everybody should try to use, and I think people don't really realize it. I didn't really think about it until I watched this video about a TEDx video, okay? And I never had this idea that maybe what I was doing, I'm an introverted person, but maybe just doing this so often, it wasn't really healthy. Maybe it was enforcing something that I didn't want to be enforced. Maybe it's better for me, which nowadays, whenever I'm just standing, I often just stand like this, are like this, and I think it's healthier. And people don't realize how that can actually change your mind, actually change the way you see yourself, the way people see you. So embodied cognition, like I said, it reflects how people will see you, like a potential employer, your spouse, your family, wherever you are, colleagues in the workplace. It affects, I think most importantly, how you see yourself, and it can avoid misunderstandings.
There's a Toastmasters out.
Okay,
We should all sit down.
another great speech. Heather, I actually have something to add to your speech. I noticed that since you've been coming to Toastmasters, your personality has changed in here, so I think that goes a long way into aiding what you said about the embodied cognition. So great job, keep it up, awesome speech. So the next part of our meeting this evening is, I think, either the most liked or most hated part of the evening, which is the table topics. So if we can have our table topics master come up.
Okay, I'm going to take a volunteer for the first one. Who would like to volunteer? Okay, Lawrence. The question for you is, if you could meet any living celebrity, now it's your definition of celebrity, doesn't have to be ours, who would you like it to be, and what would you like to tell them?
Living celebrities. Well, actually, there are many living celebrities that probably influence us in massive ways. And realistically speaking, a lot of what we look at as celebrities are actually maybe not to be celebrated so much. Like in modern society, instead of having heroes as our celebrities, we have people who pretend to be somebody else, who happen to know how to influence people through body language and speaking and acting. So the actors become the modern celebrities. I don't think there's much of any of those that I would really want to spend a lot of time trying to develop a better understanding of things. But there are people that I think would really be a good influence on my life. And those would have to be the people who really spend their time and energy giving back to their community. And some celebrities are not really celebrities at all. It's the person next door who's always putting out a little bit extra food for the stray cats. Or the person who puts a couple of extra dollars into the charity, or something like that. Those are the real celebrities that I like to be influenced by.
Thank you, Lawrence. That was a good answer for actually taking a look at what we call celebrities. We're coming up on what's called the summer blockbuster season. So I'll take a volunteer for this question as well. But I'll preface it with that so you have an idea of where it's going. So I have no volunteers.
Like Mark was volunteering, wasn't that a volunteer?
I will volunteer, sure.
Okay, Mark. What summer blockbuster are you most excited about, and why?
Well, what summer blockbuster show am I most excited about? Well, the most exciting blockbuster is actually going to occur in September. And that is when my oldest daughter is getting married. She got engaged this past her wedding be a blockbuster event, which is unfortunate for my bank account. And finances, even though I graduated from college a while back, I still need to follow the same rules that were described earlier. But anyway, that is a blockbuster that I am looking forward to most of all. Thank you.
Okay, our final table topic for today. I'd like to ask Kedrick. Kedrick, it's NCAA basketball time. Everybody's filling out brackets for one prize or another. How do you make your decisions on how to fill out the bracket?
Okay, Thomas, I'm glad you asked me this question. Actually, I am one of the people that at my company that pushes the brackets for our department. So how I fill out my bracket is I start out watching Selection Sunday, which was yesterday, and I get all my spreadsheets out, look at winning percentages. I'm kidding. No, basically, it's just a shot in the dark. Basically, there's no true way to pick a winning bracket. Obviously, Warren Buffett has been offering $1 million for somebody to get it right for the past several years, and I don't think anybody's gotten it 100% correct. So there's no science to it. It's really just pure luck. So I will say in the past I've done pretty well getting down to the Elite 16, and then at some point everything just, excuse my language, goes to hell at that point because of all the upsets. So there's no true way to pick it, but you just make your best educated guess. So, thank you.
And that will conclude our table topics for tonight. I turn the time back over to our guest.
All right. Thank you, Thomas. All right. So this is the reason everybody's here tonight is we all take this time out of our days after work or school to come and participate in Toastmasters, and we want to know how we're doing or how we're progressing. So this is the evaluation portion of the meeting. If we can have our general evaluator, Justin, come up, and with the help of this evaluation team, we'll evaluate everything that's been going on this evening.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So we'll start out with an evaluation of the first speech. That was
Very unusual that we have two speeches from the same program, but it's kind of nice. This evening's program was Your Body Speaks. So the main focus is, what are you doing with your body? Now, there are many things: topic selection, preparation, manner, posture, those some of the things that come from previous programs or speeches that have been done. All of those I found either satisfactory or excellent. Now, the only thing that when we go into manner, it has, was it satisfactory, was it enthusiastic and confident, or was it nervous and tense? Well, he wasn't tense, and he was confident, but he was also nervous. So I didn't really know how to, I mean, a little bit of everything on that one. So, but it was good. He was very confident in his speaking, but his body language was very nervous. Okay, gestures. His gestures were satisfactory because there was, again, that bit of nervousness in there that he was projecting in his body language. At least to me, it appeared that way. So I thought that could have been better. As far as eye contact and facial expression, I think he did a very good job of that. It seemed like he was looking around the room, trying to keep in contact with the different people in the room and bring them into the speech. So I think that was very good that he did that. Now, what was the one thing that I think he could have done better to make the speech more effective, as was mentioned? I think his nervous movements. My voice teacher tells me that singers, if you notice a lot of singers when they train themselves to stand with their arms kind of relaxed at the side. And I think that's something you can practice in front of the mirror, and that will help you to be less inclined to project nervousness in your speech. And then when you use body language, you can use it to emphasize. But what did he do? I think he had really great confidence. He was up here, he was presenting, in some sense, a technical program, and he gave it in a very good, very confident manner. Mr. Evaluator.
Okay, so we'll move on to the second speech, which was by Heather, and Maurice was the evaluator for that speech.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I performed the evaluation for Heather's speech entitled Embodied Cognition. And it's the same speech, the same project as Cody performed. And to add what Lauren said for the evaluation, I'm just going to give a few points in the manual. Your movements during a speech attracts listeners' attention, so any movement should be purposeful. And then body language should look natural and unrehearsed and be consistent with the meaning of the words being spoken. Now, going over the comments and suggestions, topic selection, it facilitated body language, because that was the topic. Basically, the topic of her speech covers body language. Preparation was excellent. She had a smooth flow throughout, and she demonstrated some of the body language cues that are conducive to, I guess, successful interaction with others. Manner was confident and enthusiastic, and just like Kedrick said, she has greatly improved since she started Toastmasters in performing speeches. Posture was poised and balanced, especially when she was demonstrating the different body movements. Gestures, natural and evocative. Body movement was purposeful and smooth, especially when she demonstrated the cues of proper body language. Eye contact was good. Facial expression was satisfactory. And I realized with all these different objectives, it's hard to perform them all at 100% at the same time during the same speech. Speech purpose was clear. Speech organization was logical and clear. What could the speaker have done differently to make the speech more effective? I just suggested more animated facial expressions. She did give some facial expressions, some deliberate facial expressions during the speech, but just more of it would be good. And what did you like about the presentation? How deliberately using body language or body poses can help improve your interactions with other people. General evaluator.
All right. Okay, so we'll move on to the next portion of the evaluation, which is the timer report. And Cheryl, did you keep time? I wasn't sure how that role might have changed.
Actually, I was not keeping time because I know I was supposed to. I thought maybe Katie was doing that.
I think
Yeah, I
Katie,
took it
I think
over.
Katie picked it up. I just wasn't sure how we were working that. Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, it's just I'm just gonna do the cards, but I wrote it down. So we had, unfortunately, Cody's speech was not timed. We did great. Heather, your speech came in at right over 6 minutes. It was great, right in the middle of the block of time between the 5 and 7 minutes. That was for both of your speeches. Let's see. Table topics. Lawrence was 1:46. Mark was 1 minute and 6 seconds, and Kedrick was 1 minute and 12 seconds. And then we had very nice evaluations that went over the 3 minutes with 3:06 for Lawrence and 3:16 for Maurice.
All right, thank you, Katie. So we'll move on to the grammarian report by Mark.
All right, tonight we did pretty well. There were a couple of people that can improve their filler words, uhs and okays. Kedrick, I think you need to be to more meetings, attend more meetings. You sort of reverted back.
Okay.
I caught quite a few. I caught 5 uhs and 2 okays. Cody, I caught 3 uhs. Heather, I think you had some double clutches, what I call double clutches, where you repeated the same phrase. You said, as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact. One thing I thought I heard wrong was that you used the word thirdly. And I didn't think that was a word, but while you were speaking, I looked it up online, and it is a word. So, kudos to you.
I wasn't sure, I just said it.
So, I didn't claim to be a great grammarian, so I need some help. So, Google help me out there. I had trouble hearing a lot of times. So, did anybody use the word of the day, vehement?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, I didn't think I heard it, but I wanted to give everybody an opportunity.
Nobody thought vehemently about it.
All right, thank you. And that is the grammarian's report for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. So I'll handle the general evaluation of the meeting. We did start just a few minutes late. Ran through some club business that was important. I'm your new treasurer as a result, so this is my second club that I'm a treasurer of, so I can handle it, I'm sure. Cody had his speech, did a great job. I just wanted to comment something about Cody's speech. You talked about tracking spending. So I've been using Quicken for something like 15 years now, and you can run all of these reports out of it. So you can do spending by payee, and I know how much I've spent at Heroes over the last 15 years, and that's kind of a scary fact to have. There were some difficulties with the agenda and the roles, and I take some responsibility for that. I was late to the meeting this evening. The transition of the meetings were really well managed. The lectern was always occupied. Kendrick did a great job as Toastmaster. Thomas did a great job as the table topics. Had some good topics. They were straightforward, and you did a great job running them. And you had a lot of energy out here at the podium, and a lot of positive energy with the meeting. And that concludes the general evaluation.
Justin. Hey, it appears that we are running a little short on time, so we're going to forego the education overview, but we do need to review the agenda for the next meeting. So, Lawrence.
Okay, next meeting, I have David Monroe as a speaker. I am still one speaker short. If someone wants to be a speaker, please let me know. Right now, I have Ewing as the general evaluator, Cody as the first evaluator, Heather as the second evaluator. Jared's going to be the grammarian. Steven's going to be topic master. Paul is going to be the timer. And Mark DeVoe will be Toastmaster. And if anyone has problems with that, please let me know. I will be sending out that email soon.
Lawrence,
Yes.
I really can't be Toastmasters on video. It's too hard.
Okay, we'll get you off there and put somebody else in. Does anybody want to be Toastmaster next week?
I'll say Toastmaster.
Okay, we just had a change of Toastmaster. Thank you.
Okay. All right. If there's no other issues, I will relinquish the lectern to our president.
Okay, it is 7:45. If there is nothing else from anyone, this meeting is adjourned.
I know you can do it.
Not really much to go through here.
No, I work for a financial.
Which bank were you using?
Yeah, we call it firm. Usually your agency is negative connotation, so
Yes,
we
we
don't
did.
say agency.
All right, what speech are you
Because I
going to
speak to with a lot of his speech. I had some issues with it, but